Welcome to Statesman.com and another edition of the High School Blitz. I'm Danny Davis. This is Rick Cantu. Rick, we went 4-1. Our area teams went 4-1 this past week in the state quarterfinals. That one loss was a all-area showdown, so we still have the same workload this week. We still got 4 games in the semifinals. Let's start with our only game on Friday. Vista Ridge 12-2, Richmond George Ranch undefeated. They're going to meet at Houston's NRG Stadium. One team gets to go back next week for the state championship game. Which team is that going to be?
Well, first of all, this is probably the best season Vista Ridge has ever had. I don't think we'll have an argument about that. George Ranch is very good, 14-0. They've got 2 running backs who have rushed for more than 1,000 yards. In the last 3 years, their team is 40-3. Now, the thing about Vista Ridge that I wish they would do, I wish they would give Isaiah Valere the ball a little more often than Matt Snow. Obviously, is a good running quarterback, but Valere averages 10.5 yards a game. A rush. So if they gave him the football more, I think they would score more. Just opinion.
So who's your pick?
I'm going to take George Ranch.
I'm going to go with Vista Ridge, which is that kind of surprise for me. I've been picking against them a lot. They proved me wrong last week, but I liked what I saw. Obviously, we talked about Matt Snow, 2,300 yards rushing. Isaiah Valere, he makes the most with what he gets, and he does have 1,700 rushing yards, 24 touchdowns. My key here is the defense. Vista Ridge is coming off a very good defensive performance. George Ranch has not played well on defense these last 3 weeks. 104 points allowed, and their defense has actually scored 3 times. So that defense on George Ranch has not been playing well. Vista Ridge is playing a little bit better. I say the Rangers continue their magical season, and we'll see them next week. All right, second game we're going to talk about, we're actually going to stay at NRG Stadium. Cedar Park is still undefeated. They got Fort Bend Ridgepoint this week, an 11-3 team. Rick, you saw Cedar Park last week. I've seen them a few times. Do the Timberwolves get to 15-0?
The Timberwolves will get to 15-0, and if I could say now, I think they're going to get to 16-0 the following week. It starts with their defense. The Black Rain, Ryan Franklin, Mac McCaskill, Jav Guidry, Jordan Meredith, outstanding. They only allow about 13 points a game. The offense is scoring 48. So when you're getting that kind of production, they still haven't had a game where the opponent was within 10 points of them, and I think that they're going to swamp them this week.
Yeah, no, Tyler Levine's been playing a little bit more on defense in the postseason, but he's still their leading rusher, and he's a hammer if they need him on short yardage situations, and so he'll be seeing playing time on both sides of the ball. I like Cedar Park too. Ridgepoint, they have 2 overtime wins over the course of their 7-game winning streak, but they kicked Crosby's butt, and that's important because Crosby exited the regular season as the number 2 team in the AP poll, Class 5A poll. Cedar Park was number 1, so this Ridgepoint team is not going to be intimidated by the Timberwolves. But
no, they won't be.
I think the Timberwolves will remind them rather early who the number 1 team is. Let's head up to Waco. Westlake Allen. Westlake's 13-1. Allen, however, is 14-0. They've won 57 straight games. This game's going to be at McLean Stadium. Does Westlake send that winning streak to 0, or is it going to be 58?
I think it's going to be 58, but I think it'll be a close game. It's hard to argue with a team that's ranked number 4 in the country in max preps. They're averaging 49.5 points a game, giving up only 16. They've got 2 players, Mitchell Jonke and Seth Green. They've combined for 3,200 yards, 37 touchdowns. I like the combination for Westlake, Reed Klubnik and Chase Coakley. 132 catches for 3,200 yards and 35 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. If I had to put my money on it, I'll pick Allen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Allen has 2 D1 defensive backs. Anthony Taylor's going to Texas State. Jalen Jones is going to Ole Miss. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up against Coakley, a North Texas recruit, and Klubnik, who's going to go D1, and of course Sam Ellinger is the Westlake quarterback, a Texas recruit. Yeah, he's pretty good. I like Allen too. I mean, they haven't been dominant in the playoffs. They almost lost to DeSoto a couple weeks ago, but I just think they are just a little too good for this Westlake team, and I will pick the Eagles in this one. All right, that Westlake Allen game, it kicks at 1 over at McLean Stadium. If you're in the Waco area and you want to catch 2 games, a little bit of 2 fun semifinal showdowns, let's head down the road for a 2 o'clock start at Waco ISD Stadium. We have Lake Travis, we have Mansfield, 14-0, 12-2. Lake Travis is trying to get to the state championship game for the first time since Heisman snub. Baker Mayfield led them to a championship in 2011. Can they do it?
I think Lake Travis is going to win it. And I mean, that Heisman snub is getting to me, but that's a whole other story. I'm going to give Hank Carter a game plan. Watch out for Kennedy Brooks All he has done this year is run for 3,354 yards and 40 touchdowns. They are the essence of a one-man team. You stop Kennedy Brooks, or you just contain him to maybe, let's say, 200 yards rushing, you're going to have a good chance of winning. Good news for Lake Travis, Cade Green, their outstanding receiver, did not play last week. He had a hamstring injury. He's supposedly going to be back this week. 56 catches for 895 yards, 16 touchdowns. That's a good weapon for them to have.
Yeah, this will be probably their first big test without Sammy Ochoa stuff in the middle. So Tevin Paul, those defensive linemen are going to be tested. Rockwell and Midwest had some success running against Lake Travis the last 2 weeks, and Mansfield's a lot better than those two teams are at running the football. So it should be a test. I think Lake Travis still wins this game. Charlie Brewer's just been so efficient in the throughout the season. Only 2 interceptions this year, 317 attempts. Del Valle is actually the only team that's intercepted them this year, which is kind of an odd little statistic. But Lake Travis has scored 714 points this year. I think they're going to get a few more, and I think we'll see them in Houston next week.
Actually, Brewer is actually passing. He's 69% now, so he's just phenomenal.
It is. Those are Madden numbers right there. Those are our picks for the state semifinals. Check back with us throughout the weekend to see how good or how bad we did, and we'll see you next week at NRG Stadium.